Hi, and welcome to Miss Laura's class, PYP at Home. So today we're going to be looking at a grade 3 lesson that we might see in the primary years program. During the lesson, I will fill in some things I think the students might say or some responses they might give, just to show what the engagement could be like. Okay, so let's get started. All right, good afternoon, everybody. We're gonna get started with our lesson today. Over here, I have a measuring cup, a big bowl of water, and different sizes of containers. I wonder what we might be using this for. Any ideas? Oh, yes, Fatima. Yes, because we've been talking all about water and where we find water in different places, how we use water at home. So that actually brings us to our central idea. Let's all read this. Water is essential to life and a limited resource for many people. This is the idea we've been following this unit so far. And we're going to go to Kasim's question. How much usable water is on the planet? So this was a question that came about in our previous lesson. So today we're going to find out and we're going to sort out some information about where we can find usable water on Earth. Okay, first let's activate some prior knowledge. We learned vocabulary. Some of these words are a bit big, so let's go over them one more time. I know we all did our definitions and our walkabouts last time, and we drew pictures, but just to refresh, we have, yes, atmosphere, precipitation, aquifers, oceans, glaciers, scarce, water vapor, saline, and the water cycle. Any questions about the meanings of these words? Maybe someone wasn't here. Oh yeah, I know a couple people were absent that day. So yes, an aquifer is, it's like a rock area underneath the ground, and the water can actually come up through it. So we can take the water out that way, and we find some fresh water there, because we were talking about the salt water and the fresh water and the difference between the two. All right, saline, yes, so that's a solution. So again, we know now about our mixtures and solutions that we've learned in science. So saline is water and salt as a solution mixed together. All right, okay, so if any other questions come up about vocabulary, make sure that you ask your buddy or you check your dictionaries in your desks. All right, so we will focus on the function. What is the function of water? Why do we need it? And why does it need to be usable? So this was an excellent question. So you will find these pictures, everyone, on your desks around the classroom. So I'd like you to go on a See, Think, Wonder with a buddy, and I want you to come up with a few more questions or a few more wonderings about the pictures. All right, so let's take 5 minutes, and I'm gonna come around and see where our discussions are leading us. Okay, so we've all had some time. I heard some great conversations happening as I was walking around the room. I know these pictures are really interesting. So yes, we had Hamid and Sama were talking about this picture, and I know I heard Sama say a couple things that, you know, we lost all the green areas. They're all gone now. There's no beautiful grass left, and that's true in some places, maybe that there was no grass left because maybe the water got used up. So that's definitely something we can research more about later. And then here I heard Aisha and Salman saying that people did this, and they dirtied the water with all the plastic in the ocean, and the animals are getting caught in the nets. I think Salman said he saw a movie where a whale was caught in a fishing net and there was garbage everywhere. That's really sad. Over here, looks like there's two girls somewhere, likely in Africa, and yeah, they have to walk very far to get the water. It's very heavy. That is hard work, definitely. And then over here, we have someone where it looks like there was a tree there before and all the trees have died. And we did read that story last week. There was that place where I think in an island, right? Yeah, and all the trees had died. There was a very rare type of tree there. Then over here, looks like we have someone standing in a flooded area. Yes, definitely. So we have lots of questions about if floods cause the water to get dirty and if that is safe for people. It may not be very safe. Okay, perfect. So that brings us to our next step. Okay, so before we go to our big question, why is water important? We're going to first explore where we can find our usable water. Okay, so around the room, I would have these kind of scattered around the desks, maybe tape them around and have the students go and find them. So each set of maybe 2 or 3 students would find one, and I would get them to take it to their desk and analyze it. So we're going to work on some ATL skills here. We talk about analysis. So we analyze when we get to higher orders of thinking. So this says swamp water. I'll go around and discuss it with them. It has different numbers on it. So some of these numbers are quite big. So in our chart, we have swamp water is 2,752 cubic miles. That's a big number. So we'll just pay attention to this one here. I'll read it for them. And then we'll see what that means in percent of fresh water. So with swamp water, that would mean that's 0.03. So I would just explain that is a very, very small amount of fresh water. Okay, so they're being exposed to some big numbers, although they may or may not have been exposed to this in math, but it's just kind of an early exposure to the big numbers, but I will guide them through it. So the main thing here is that we're going to categorize in order. So I will ask, who has oceans, seas, and bays? Okay, so maybe Maria and Billy have oceans, seas, and bays. So I will ask them to bring up oceans, seas, and bays, and we're going to see that that goes first because it's got the biggest number. Okay, and I'll read the number for them. We've got 321 million cubic miles of oceans, seas, and bays in terms of the water. All right, who has ice caps, glaciers, and permanent snow? So we've got that here, and I will tell them in advance where their number would be. Okay, so this number is smaller. That had 321. This one is just 5. Okay, so that's a smaller number. 5,773,000. Okay, so I will just quickly. Okay, so when we're done doing all of our categorizing, that's how it would look. And again, yes, I would help them. Some kids can be gifted, some kids are very good with math, so I just feel like this gives a bit of differentiation, and different activities could be done with it with the kids who are capable of maybe working with some bigger numbers. All right, so that brings us now to a more concrete model of usable water on Earth. So my friends, here we have a measuring cup. So we're going to look now at 6 sources of water. The first one we're going to look at is the ice. So for the ice, I'm going to fill about 20 milliliters of water. Okay, so I'm going to put it in here. I'm going to measure it out. Oh, that's quite a lot. So we're gonna go down until we get about 20 milliliters of water. And then we have about 20, okay? So this is how much usable fresh water we would have in the ice, okay? So we'll put that there. In class, we would put a label on it. Groundwater, we would have about 9 milliliters. So that would be even less, 9 milliliters. So I would take that and we'll put it in another container. And then lakes would be even less, 0.08 milliliters. So for that, all I would do is take just a tiny bit of water, and that's how much fresh water we might find in lakes. So that just came in a few drops there. All right, and of course, the sizes I would have more exact at home. This is what I was able to find. All right, so that's ice, groundwater, lakes. Next one would be swamps. So we're basically taking the information that was a little bit complex here for some students, and we're making it more concrete and breaking it down into 6 water sources. Okay, so swamps is 0.01 milliliters. So we just explained to the students that's about 5 drops. That's very little. So I would just take a dropper and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drops of water. So we're imagining this is all the water on Earth, and these are all the different sources of the fresh water. So next one is rivers. That is 0.0002 milliliters. That's only 1 drop. I would just take this one and put that again in another small container, even smaller. Wow, that's very little. Okay, now the last one is the ocean. Now the ocean has 970 milliliters, much more than all of these. So I'm gonna take the cup and I'm gonna get it there to 400 almost milliliters. Let's pour that in. And 400 plus 400, can anyone tell me what that equals? You got it, that's 800. Okay, and then we need a little bit more. This is 970, so I need 170 more. You've got it. So I'm gonna fill up to, get that one. Okay, so there's about 170 more, and that's gonna go right to the top. So now, again, what is this, everybody? This is ice, groundwater, lakes, swamps, rivers, all usable water. And then we have oceans. Now, do oceans usually have usable water? No, oceans usually contain salt water. So here we go. Is this usable water now in the ocean? No. So look, we've got all of this water in the ocean. Can't use this, but we've got all this fresh water, but it's such a small amount when we compare it. All right, so I'm gonna get you to go now into your inquiry journals, and I would like you to document. There's a sheet glued in for you already of all of the different sources of water, the 6 that we just talked about, and I'd like you to label the numbers that are on the board for you. I've written them all so that we can see and draw how much it was. If anybody prefers the option of writing a few sentences based on what we've learned here, you can take that option as well. And if anybody wants to have a teacher-student interview and explain their understanding, then that's also an option. So when you choose an option, please get started, and then I will come around and see how everybody is doing. Okay, everyone. Wow, it was so interesting to hear some people explain their understanding, and like I had people come up with, I know some of you had seen, I think someone saw a documentary, and someone was saying their dad works at a water treatment plant, and they were telling me all about how the water gets treated and then they change it from, oh yes, they desalinate it. I can't, wow, that's excellent that we know that word. So they treat it and then they make the water usable. So very interesting. That's actually our next stage of inquiry, is how can we use technology to make the water usable. Excellent, I love that thinking. All right, so at this stage, students would be consolidating their learning. So we talked about the forms, or where we find the usable water, and then we'd go on to finally discuss why water is important. So my friends, you will be getting some post-it notes. If you want to answer a particular question, just raise your hand and that can be your question. So you choose. So the first question is, what types of activities is water used for? Okay, so come and get your notes if you want this question. The questions are also there on the board. Next question, where and when do you see water the most? Okay, so we've got a few people who want to answer this question. Excellent. Okay, and then where do you think the water that you use comes from? What is the difference between fresh water and salt water? Do you think it is possible to run out of water? And what would happen if your water supply was reduced? Excellent, everybody. So students would get together, they would write some questions. If they were confused, they might talk with each other. So we'd encourage now, we're gonna be communicators. We're going to be caring. We're going to help each other to come up with some answers. Please be creative, draw some pictures if you like, and then we will come back to this as our wonder wall at the beginning of the next lesson. Okay, everyone.